There we go. Good afternoon. Today we've got ourselves quite a bit to discuss in our time allotment. So let's get started. I want to say let's see who else in the chat. We've got Robert William Griffin and me in the chat. And let's see. Uh, Reminder that tomorrow we've got our live stream with Patrick and Mark on the Tesla Q1 earnings call. That'll be right here at 5:30 Eastern US time. So that'd be 2:30 Pacific, and you can figure out the rest knowing that I'm at GMT -4. So we had our Crew Dragon launch. That was extremely exciting because it was the second official mission, because the first manned mission was the the demo mission, so it doesn't count in the numbering, but it definitely did count. And in fact, that mission's capsule is the one that flew on this mission. They refurbished it, and also its booster, the same booster, launched these folks into space. That or this booster launched Crew 1. I'm not sure exactly which, but it was the same booster that also launched the previous manned capsule. Good morning, Anders. Or evening, sorry, evening, good evening. And as well as Robert William Griffiths. All right, let's see. Yes, that was pretty cool because now you're looking at 11 people on the ISS, which is a little crowded. They don't even have enough bunks for everybody, so they're going to be hot bunking it like on a submarine. So that'll be quite fun. And then Crew 1 will return on Endeavour, which is the name of their capsule, shortly. I don't recall the time. So previously what happened was they had moved ports to make room for Crew 2, as well as other missions arriving after the fact, such as the next Dragon cargo vehicle, which will resupply the station. Let's see. I saw this. I thought was pretty neat. Let me open a window and share it with y'all. So this is a flying car. Well, it really does fly, but it's a car. It's not really a car. Let me mute my tabs here. Share screen. Show window. There we go. Oh, it was automatic. So this flying car costs nearly $800,000. It will. That's distracting. It will probably cost over that after the initial trial period. So they've got this. The startup's name is called NFT, which was named before the non-fungible tokens took off, and the vehicle's called the ASKA, and it's basically a big old drone. It'll carry two people. It's got wheels, but I don't know that I would classify it as a car. It's a people pod, and it was kind of neat, or so I thought. Let's hide that. Yeah, so that was pretty neat to me. Another thing that noticed this week is the Cybertruck 1/10 scale deliveries had started. So we've got a couple of large YouTube channels have started showing off their Tesla Cybertruck RC cars. So let me see if I can't pull that up. Oh, it took over my screen. That's not cool. Let's put it over here. And doing this solo is a lot harder than you'd expect. All right, let's copy this here. Close this. Paste that there. And show on stream. There we go. So this one is our friends at Derek. Eric is showing off his 1/10 scale Cybertruck, and they had a blast with it. Let's see here. Most of the people were complaining that it wasn't bigger. I don't know what they were expecting. That's huge for an RC car, especially when you compare it with the smaller Cybertruck. Let me see if I can reach that with this cable here. I can't. I believe this is 1/32nd scale, and I mean that's not a bad size. This is the RC Cybertruck as well, but not the big guy. Let's see here. So on the 8th, Elon is going to be launching or hosting Saturday Night Live, and he says in a tweet, let's find out how live Saturday night really is. I didn't realize how small it is. I'll zoom that in for you. I don't know what shenanigans he has planned, but it'll be quite interesting because his sense of humor is off the spectrum. So we'll see how that goes. He might try and do some dancing. I kind of he's gonna be on there with Miley Cyrus, so I was thinking that she would be the one, just for giggles, that she would be the host and Elon would be the musician because that's that's not what you would expect, and that would make it more funny. And then Omar will be joining us shortly, and let's go back to what's next. We've got this past Earth Day, Electrify America and Electrify Canada and EVgo all hosted free charging sessions. Well, some EVgo stations all hosted free charging sessions for Earth Day in celebration. To help, I don't know, really know what their goal was because if you already had the EV, it was a nice gesture and it was relevant. Yes, that surprised me to see how easily damaged they all were. It was disappointing, actually. I don't know if they were particularly rough or it didn't look like for instance, what does she call herself now? Kim Java. Her family was playing with theirs, and it got a couple nicks and scratches, and it didn't look like they were particularly rough on it. Tesla Raj, when he got together with Minimal Duck, Arash, they they abused that poor truck. But they got some pretty cool views. Like Arash got some nice slow mo jumps and stuff, and then I don't know if it was real or if it was partially real, where he handed it back and Raj was like, "You destroy everything." Oh, but I would think that would have been uh, more durable, just like the real thing. And I know that might have raised the cost a little bit, but perhaps they could have spent less on packaging and more on durability. The speed was fine. A lot of people got some speed, but like Raj's unit, it had the bumper guard installed and still managed to get. So now it's got a pristine bumper, but the rest of the truck is scratched to heck. And at $400, I was kind of disappointed to see how easily it got torn up on the first outing for all these people. And then some of the folks were like, "Oh, we're not gonna let ours just sit on a shelf." But at $400, I don't know that I'd want to just go out and destroy it on the first run. I might expect it to look like that after like 20 runs or something. But what can you say? So I've seen. Well, I haven't seen personally. I've heard of people who've seen on eBay and other places it going for about $2,500 for this kit that was originally $400. And after what we've seen with the empty Tesla Kila bottles, I believe it. So I didn't actually go out and independently verify it because it matches my experiences. Let's see what we got here. Talked about Musk and Electrify America. We've got more on the Tesla Texas crash that we introduced at the end of the show. I think Anders, you brought it up to us at the end of the show last week, and so what we're going to do is when Omar gets on, we'll discuss that one a little back and forth. There was a lot involved in that. Let's see, we got a tweet here. Why does it keep opening in this window? There we go. Omar's joined us. All right, so on the next Wednesday or so, we're expecting to see SN15 go for a little hop.
So, hello, everybody. We're ready to occupy Mars.
Yes. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully, it goes smoothly, or at the very
Hoping
least
for
that they learn
success with
some.
SN15, yeah.
Yes, or at the very least that they learn some new lessons and don't relearn some old lessons. Because after winning their Moon contract with NASA, I don't know.
Yeah, they got to
That
start
was
making
after
some
last show?
serious progress.
Yeah, I think that was after last show. So yeah, also they won their contract with NASA, and they're going to be the moonlander. So that's going to be a variant of Starship, and yeah, they're going to have to get on it. All right, so let's see. Starship happened in about 12 minutes. What I'm going to do is, for the folks who come later, I'm going to kind of give them links in the show to when it all was. So I'll just say news for the first block. So I talked about on Monday after work, we're doing the Tesla Q1 shareholders briefing. But right here, same place. It'll be a different link, obviously. The Crew Dragon launch. I talked about the reused booster and capsule, as well as it being 11 people on the ISS. It's a little bit crowded because they got a hot bunk.
That's exciting, though. You know,
Yes. And
I mean, they're making trips to the ISS like it's like flying to Vegas or something. It's just like
right, a regular. Yes, and
which is
then
which is
there's
fantastic because we used
it
to have to
is.
pay the Russians to send our guys up there.
Mm-hmm. We used to pay our guys to go up there for the Russians. We used to was over 110 million or something, and that's more than a full Falcon 9 rocket expendable. And so
Right,
you
and
get your
and what's crazy is like now they just sent up 4 guys from 3 different countries. So now we're sending
yes,
other people up.
3 guys and the first woman on commercial space.
Right.
Yeah, that was phenomenal, and she's Doug's wife, right, or Bob's?
I forget.
But either way, she's the wife of one of the first DM1, the first
I
crewed
think that's
mission
Doug's wife.
test. Yeah, I think it's Doug's wife. And so you had the opposite scene when they were loading up the Model X with the astronauts. There were actually 3 Model X's this time because you can't get everybody into the 2 middle seats. And well, there were two both times before, but for the DM1 they only needed 1 because 2 guys fit in 1 car. As for this one, they had the 3 Model X's, and their license plates were reduce, reuse, recycle.
I think that's awesome.
It was, um, but so as the the family saying goodbye. So last time it was her and the kids saying goodbye to them, and now it was him and the kids saying goodbye to her.
Yeah, which
And
is
then
pretty cool.
absolutely, and part of the reason they did the shuffle where they basically got in and did valet parking, moved the capsule Endeavour over to make room for what was the name of this one? Sorry, but the reason they moved it over was to make room for this one, but not just that, but for future missions, including the next cargo dragon. The next cargo dragon is going to have some stuff removed from the trunk, which means that they need the Canadarm, and in order to do that, they didn't want to have to move the arm. They just moved the ships because it's easier, or maybe it's even impossible to reach from some of the other places that the arm can mount to do what they need to do. So they were just lining everything up, and it was
Yep.
somebody explained to me why they put everybody in is that they put all 4 astronauts back in the ship and then they all moved over. The reason they did that was if they had to abort, if for some reason they couldn't redock with the station, then they already had everybody who needed to go on that ship ready to come back home. Versus having to try and figure out what to do if you had too many people. Do you want to try and squeeze them into the Soyuz? Do you want to put extra people into the other Crew Dragon? And with the seats being custom fit, you don't really want to have somebody in the wrong chair because it might have a little bit of a. Oh yeah, Eddie, you can come in. Let me shoot you a link to this thing here.
Yeah, it would be a rough ride.
Yeah. And depending on how much size difference and proportion difference you have with these folks, they might injure themselves with some of the forces involved. And so rather than risk
Yep.
it, I think they made the right move. But it's also cool that they have multiple lifeboats. Should should something like that happen, like where they do need to shuffle them around, it won't be a perfect fit, but it'll be better than the alternative.
Yeah, at least they have something.
Exactly. All right, and then so we talked about SN15, talked about Crew Dragon, and let's see, that was about 17-ish. And we talked about the shareholder briefing. And what did you think of the 1/10 scale Cybertrucks? I was saying how it was like amazing to me that all the folks were complaining that it was too small, and Anders was saying that he was surprised it wasn't more durable given the price tag of $400.
I mean, it's a hefty price tag, but I mean, I thought it was from what I've seen of it. I thought it was pretty nice. I would have loved to have one myself. Um,
Yeah,
you know, the funny thing is like you could tell it was modeled off of the original prototype,
yeah.
because it still had the door handles.
Door handles. Yeah, everybody was saying that they thought it would be the new update, but that was probably COVID that slowed them down and made it so they ended up with basically just it was a lot of delay for both the small one and the monster one.
Yep. Hey,
Yeah.
Eddie,
Huh?
welcome.
What's up? What's up?
How's it going? So what did you think of all the space stuff for the toy Cybertruck?
The Cybertruck isn't on my radar, so I guess I hadn't kept up with that one.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there should be more EV trucks out there, but I'm not a truck guy.
I understand.
Well, the funny thing is, I'm not really a truck guy either, but I ordered the Cybertruck because, I mean, the specs of what you're getting for your dollar is just unbelievable at this point.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm surprised at that, the lower end model. I'm surprised about that one myself.
That price is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Cheaper than the Model Y.
Considering what trucks are going for these days.
Oh yes.
So, but
yeah, it's on.
I'm not a truck guy.
Yeah,
I see it on.
all the way...
It's like on parity with gas trucks, like the price wise. So realistically, I mean, 50 grand for the dual motor Cybertruck versus a 50 grand, four-wheel drive truck, they're very comparable on the price.
Yep.
But now where you have the advantage with the EVs that you're saving all this money on gas and maintenance that you're not going to have to do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then even with the...
If I was a truck guy, I would probably be looking that way. Although it's a little too futuristic for me.
It's definitely a very different look.
Yeah, it's on the par with the Altair. That's the problem I'm having, that Mad Max look.
Yeah, well, form follows function on these two vehicles.
Well, see, I actually like it, the look.
Yeah.
I mean, it grew on me. When I first saw it, I thought like everybody else, like, are they joking? Is that a joke? Are they going to bring out the real one next? Like, what am I looking at? Like, why? But it grew on me over time. So that, and then that's when I finally decided to place my order. So I didn't place my order on day one because I thought it looked really weird. And I was like, nah, I'm really going to probably get a Model Y. But then over time, it grew on me. So I decided to go with the Cybertruck instead of the Y.
I still suspect they're going to come out with a El Camino type truck.
Yeah.
Well, somebody already modified a Model 3 to be like one.
Yeah,
Truckla.
Truckla. So, Eddie, did you get a chance to take advantage of any of that free charging for Earth Day?
Talking about the EA?
Electrify America, EVgo. I think you just went down to your usual stomping grounds, though, right?
Yeah, because they were all Electrify. I have never seen an Electrify America because they're all out of the way, and they're more
for your area. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've only ever seen them
I
at
never
Walmart
did
and Target.
that
I know there are other places, but that's the only place I've ever seen them.
one.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about that Tesla crash that Anders told us about at the end of last show. Let's start with uh, Omar. Do you want to give them a rundown of what we know for sure, the facts, before we get into a couple of bullet points on what came after?
So the news came out, it was in there was a crash involving a Tesla. Officials said, oh, there was nobody driving it. They found, they determined that there was somebody in the passenger seat, in the front passenger seat, and there was somebody in the rear. Um, the car apparently hit a tree at high speed, caught fire, and unfortunately, the occupants perished. They initially said that the car took over 4 hours for them to put out the fire, and then the fire department came out and said, whoa, wait a minute. We had the fire extinguished rather quickly. However, we continued to douse the car afterwards to make sure that the batteries don't reignite. So they wanted to get the temperature down cool enough under a certain degree to make sure they didn't reignite. So that's what the whole 4 hours was about.
Yeah.
It's a very unfortunate accident. It's always a tragedy whenever people lose their lives. And there's been some dispute now whether or not autopilot was involved or not.
Yep.
So apparently there's been statements made that, oh yeah, just before they went off, that they told the guy told his wife that he was going to go and show how the car can drive itself or something with the the owner of the vehicle with the other occupant. And either way, it's just tragic that they lost their lives.
Yeah.
Elon later tweeted out that autopilot was not engaged from the logs. I don't know how you pull the logs of a burnt out car so quickly, but they do amazing things. I think when it automatically, when the Teslas are involved in a crash, they automatically will push certain data to Tesla, so that's why they were able to get that.
Exactly.
But so Elon tweeted out that vehicle did not purchase full self-driving, so that part wasn't a factor. And he said that with the standard autopilot, that it wasn't engaged at the time. So
I don't know what happened there.
so that's the information that we have so far. That's what we know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what happened just now, but we're back.
The man got to us.
They're trying to shut us down for telling the truth.
Yes. So the crash data, when you crash, will, or actually, if there's any significant event that spooks the Tesla, it will immediately start sending as much as it can out before it loses 12-volt battery, because when it's still fully powered up, that 12-volt battery doesn't last very long, and those computers can drain it. So what it does is, first thing it does, high priority, it calls emergency services using your Bluetooth on your phone. Unless you're in Europe, it will just call using its own phone, and they'll immediately get all the data out, and they'll make sure that the flashers are on, and they'll keep power steering and brakes powered up. That way you can you still have power brakes and power steering. If the car is still in motion, you can get it to the side of the road, or someplace safer than where it is in motion at, and that's how that works. Yeah. So in all the jobs I've ever had, there's always been a policy about speaking to the media, and it seems that this guy was like in his 15 minutes of fame and was speaking before the facts were known. This Constable.
He did put it out extremely quickly, so I don't know if that was because of the media and fanfare behind it, that he just tried to get ahead of it and wanted to immediately just tell them what they thought they knew.
Right.
But it would have been a lot better for them just to confirm, yeah, there was a crash. Unfortunately, a couple of lives lost, and it's under investigation. We'll find out more. That would have been, I think, a better statement to make.
We'll have a press release later.
and put out more information much later after all the facts are fully known.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. This is where we're at, and of course, it's right before earnings call, so
of course.
there's all the conspiracy theories out there about stock manipulation and stuff like that. But,
and then some people tried to do some actual stock manipulation on top of it because it's the perfect time to strike.
Right.
But Elon pointed out that you're 10 times safer with passive autopilot, which is where the car is just watching your back, watching what you do, guessing what it would do in that situation, and it's like, oh shoot, let me handle this. And so at that point, you're 10 times safer with that turned on, and then you're another 10 times safer with what they call active autopilot, which is where the car is doing its thing, and you're supervising the car in that same role. You swap places, and so they're saying at that point you're 10 times safer. And then some folks are like, well, that's because if you crash already, then you've already turned off autopilot. But their statistics all base everything off of if it was. I'm echoing on your mic, Eddie.
Okay.
They base it all on if autopilot was on within 5 or 10 seconds before the crash, they consider that to be an autopilot crash. So it's not a case of, oh yeah, he's just using data because you're on the you've already turned it off or whatever. And so
it's not like, oh yeah, 1 second before the crash, he slammed on his brakes and disengaged autopilot, so therefore it wasn't on autopilot and autopilot wasn't involved. No, it's not like that.
Right, and that was always something that concerned me when by Model S, because the car is always saying, well, not so much the Model S, more so with the Model X actually, because Model S was easy to keep it from saying put your hands on your wheel, but both of them were both like hands on the wheel, and I'm like, I am, like, see, shake the wheel, and and so I was always afraid that something would happen to me, and they'd say, oh yeah, see, his hands weren't on the wheel, but at least it would show up as how much torque I had on the wheel, as well as that it was an autopilot crash. But actually, I did have an autopilot crash. My incident with the semi-truck, I was an autopilot and I got rear-ended multiple times by a semi-truck. After the lawsuit closes, I'll go ahead and share the video here on the channel.
Does this app take control of your audio?
It does whatever you've picked for the audio.
Okay, I got to see where the controls are because I just plugged in and it's not going through my headset.
Oh, down by your microphone mute button, there should be an arrow to pick more.
That should give you your audio options.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you hit that little up arrow next to your microphone.
Okay.
Yeah. So
next to the mute.
So after the constant
output.
Right. So I have a couple theories behind possibilities of what could have happened. Now, mind you, this is just conjecture. I have no inside knowledge or anything. This is just my personal opinion of a couple theories of what could have happened
based on his professional experience.
And I believe that what could have happened was a couple things. One, they could have actually just had a terrible accident, just a terrible crash. And directly after the crash, the car started to catch fire. They panicked, and the person may have tried the door and it didn't immediately open. They felt trapped in the car, so then he started to climb to try to get to a different part of the car to try to get out of a different door. So then that's why you found nobody in the driver's seat.
Right. Because this was a guy in his late 50s and another guy in his mid 60s. So I don't imagine that they were trying to climb over stuff with gymnastics while the vehicle was in motion. I mean,
I don't think they were doing it.
Barely in my mid 30s, so I can't do it exactly.
I just don't. I don't see that being the case.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's kind of my theory of. I believe that that's how you found people in different parts of the car. The other thing would be that it's possible that he thought he put it in autopilot when in actuality he put it in regular cruise control.
Cruise control, yeah.
And if you put it in regular cruise control, it's not actually doing, completely doing the, all the steering and lane and everything for you. It's like regular cruise control in any other car, except for the emergency braking stuff, which is kind of still active anyway. But on that particular road, they're probably doing a speed that was not safe for that, and they thought the car was going to basically drive for them, but it really wasn't. They needed to do it, and unfortunately, they crashed.
Right. That's always been an annoyance of mine. When I try to turn on cruise control, if I pull it too many times, I try to turn on autopilot, it turns everything off. And that used to annoy me until right just now, and then thinking about it. If it just kicks out of everything and says, boop, 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 where I'm not doing nothing, then the car will coast to a stop. And, if I'm not paying any attention, then the car will coast to a stop instead of going on cruise control and me thinking that it's in autopilot. So that's actually quite ingenious, even though it is still quite annoying when it's like, I know you're just in cruise control. I was paying attention. Car says, what if you weren't? Yeah, so that's pretty cool. This constable made the fire department look bad, and so the fire department chief, he snapped back right away. Was it the next morning? He's like, no, it didn't take that long. We got it done in 2-3 minutes, and then the rest of it was just, keeping the temperature down just in case anything tried to reignite, because these lithium battery fires, they burn hot enough to set those woods on fire. So,
and they have been known to reignite later if the temperature inside the battery are still high enough. They can still reignite later.
All the time. We saw it in China, we saw it in Germany, we saw it here in the US many times, and not just with Teslas, but any lithium battery. We saw it with the crash test for the Chevy Volt. We didn't actually see any Chevy Volts do it, but they did the crash tests wrong, where they did them above the standard, and then they rolled the battery, and so the battery was able to roll. When you rolled the battery, the liquid was able to get into the holes that were punctured during the crash test, and then when they set them out in the junkyard at full charge, they were still warming up, and then that liquid didn't help, and they combusted. So there was actually a campaign that my first Volt was involved in that stiffened the battery up to redirect the forces in a side collision to the other side of the car around the battery, and so that was pretty unique. I got some good pictures of that. And so then after all of this went down, and apparently it wasn't enough to actually get the actual facts, our friends at Consumer Reports decided to stir the pot. Anybody want to talk to that?
So, Ed?
I have no knowledge of the situation.
Oh, there you got it. Let me see if I can't... not analysis. This guy, no, this fire chief. Let's do this one here.
Bring something up later, but not that.
So Consumer Reports did do a thing where they show that you can trick autopilot.
Yeah,
they
did.
Sure, like most things, you can defeat just about anything, right? So,
right.
I mean, the computer is programmed to do a certain thing, and once you know how it's doing what it's doing, there's ways that you can get around to cheat the system and cheat what it's doing.
Absolutely.
So in that particular case, they put a weight on the steering wheel, and so that there's some kind of torque against the steering wheel, so that to try to trick the computer into thinking that you're still holding the wheel because you're putting some kind of pressure on it.
They shorted the seatbelt checks.
Right. You can plug your seatbelt in like behind you and not actually have it on, so it seems like you're buckled in and you're not. There's different ways that you can fool a system.
Right. And but there's a weight sensor in the car that's not actually currently active when autopilot's active, but it is active to measure what the airbags need to do and to actually turn the car on. Because remember, no Tesla after the original Roadster has a key or a push to start or anything like that. The only way that it knows to turn on is it checks to see that your key or key card, or that you're authorized to use the car, however you authorize it, depending on the model. They make sure there's weight in the seat, and then when you push the brake, if you may have to put a pin in or may not, depending on what's set up. After that, then the car will, when you push the brake, the car will then turn on. And after that, it doesn't check the weight anymore, which is weird. Unless you're unbuckled and manually driving. If you're unbuckled, manually driving, and you lift your butt off the seat, it'll put itself in park. Which is fun if you're one of those people who likes to reverse and you pick yourself up.
And you pick yourself up to try to turn all the way around. Yeah.
I'm not typically a unseatbelted driver, but I have had a couple of times in the driveway where I'm doing some stuff and it wants to stop.
I've done that before when I'm like, backing into my driveway and parking and going into the garage or whatever. And turn around and look, and it's like, you know what? Let me unbuckle the seatbelt so I can really turn around real good. And as you lift your butt off the seat, I'm in park.
Yep. And that's happened to me less than one hand. I can count them on one hand how many times that happened.
So it seems to me like, I don't know if the weight sensor in the seat is actually not active, or if it's just active in tandem with the seatbelt. Because then if it's in tandem with the seatbelt, then if your seatbelt's still buckled, then it's saying, okay, you're still sitting in the seat. Even if you lift up, you're still sitting in the seat. Whereas
right, because I've taken off a jacket or something inside the seatbelt. Yeah.
But if you do both, if you unbuckle the seatbelt and lift up, now you have those both factors happening. Now it says, that's it, you're out. Yeah. So I think it's still active. I think that weight sensor is still actively used, but it's just in conjunction with, you need both things to happen.
Yeah, because your weight could change for the airbag, and not it shouldn't change that much, but it could. Like, say you have a
but you could shift, You
could shift, yeah. So it might need to change the deployment of the airbag, and so that would have to be on at all times. All of the demos I saw refuting it were people sitting in the chair still. They unbuckled and the car freaked out and either stopped in the lane or pulled over and parked, depending on whether they were on City Streets Beta or the current release. Current release will stop in the lane with the flashers. City Streets Beta, depending on if there was room, it pulled over and stopped, or it did like Classic and stopped in the lane.
Right, so, but they unbuckled the seatbelt, though.
They unbuckled the seatbelt with a person in the chair. So, like you said, in tandem, I wonder if what would happen if Consumer Reports unbuckled their seatbelt in this case. Would it have slammed on the brakes or what?
I think if they unbuckled the seatbelt, it would disengage and stop and do like you've seen others do. I think that seatbelt is the key with that one. I think that the seatbelt is primary, and then the weight sensor becomes secondary or something.
Yeah.
That's just my anecdotal, experience and what I believe it does.
So, what did you think about them defeating the situation there, Eddie? Oh, sorry, I got you chewing.
Well, like I said, my opinion is any system can be defeated.
Absolutely, and should
if you're determined enough. If you're determined enough, one way or another, you can be able to defeat just about anything.
My inclination is that if anybody's pulled over with such a rig, they're going straight to jail. Because you're defeating the seatbelt, you're defeating all sorts of stuff, and you're operating a car improperly.
Oh, that's definitely reckless. I mean,
reckless driving.
Yeah.
Go straight to jail. All right, so let's move on from this, because that's annoying and depressing and all that at once. Let's see. So we talked about SN15. I've got a video for you guys. Let me pull this up here. Still learning all this. Okay, I think I'm muted. The Mercedes EQS has been spotted.
Oh, in the wild.
In the wild.
So
our friends at Kindle Auto have seen this driving the streets. I'm guessing that's
they not only saw it, but they recognized and knew what it was.
Right.
Took video.
Well, that's an American license plate. I wonder where they saw it at. So what I found out is that is not a charge port or anything on the side. That's where you refill the washer fluid.
Wait, what?
Because yeah. Because I was like, it's too small to be a J1772. Did they invent their own thing? Or is it like Porsche where it's like fancy and then it's got like you plug it in facing down or facing up or whatever? But no, it's the washer fluid, Philip. Yeah, on the outside, that little vent is a washer fluid.
So you pop that open to fill up the washer fluid. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense in a way. Like, you don't have to pop the whole hood for one little
My
thing.
understanding is you can't really pop the hood. It doesn't have a frunk, and the whole front area is filled with electronics and stuff like a classic fossil vehicle.
Well, wait. Well, if that's the case, why wouldn't you be able to pop the hood? You still have to maintenance it, right? So, that's right. You got to go back to the dealers, the dealership.
Yeah. like the
I mean, you would have to go back to the dealer anyway, because if something goes wrong with some kind of electronics or something like that anyway, you're not going to be trying to service that yourself anyway.
Right. And from the way that the hood is designed, it looks like it's got the fenders and everything. Like I don't see. I mean, it's not impossible to make that hinged, but it looks like the Bugatti where you have to do all sorts of stuff with the bodywork to get it off and open it up. So,
which would be annoying if you were a mechanic.
oh yeah. But I mean, you're getting paid by the
by the hour.
Yeah. So, I mean, why not at that point? So that's pretty cool.
I would imagine it's kind of modular, right?
Yeah, it's probably just as modular as a modern car, and so I figure it's literally just a way to just discourage people from getting around in there. Like I saw Inside EVs, or not Inside EVs, Out of Spec Motoring did a review of or not a review, but a test drive of a Hitachi Minder vehicle, and all the panels had a special key on them, so that only Hitachi could get in to service the truck. So that was unique to me. And speaking of Mercedes-Benz, Daimler, all the Germans, let me get a link here to this. I think y'all might think it's a good idea. Oh, Charging Island by Daimler. Trucks, yeah. Makes
sense.
It does.
For large vehicles, trucks, buses.
Exactly. And, you don't have to detach your trailer. You can go in and go into the depot and get yourself some grub.
Plus, you have it designed so they can pull forward in, and then after they're finished charging, pull forward out straight through, so that, I mean, that makes sense.
Exactly. I think this is
which is another interesting thing, because I have not seen or heard of any like mega chargers being put out there and rolled out yet. And Tesla's supposed to be coming out with a semi soon. Mm-hmm. And in order for that to really, really work well, they need to have their charging infrastructure out there, which I'm curious as to when that's going to start rolling out.
Well, Tesla's really good at deploying these things, and as we saw last week, they now have the V3 superchargers, which are, in my theory, mega chargers, but for 4 cars instead of 1 truck, on the pallet, so they can just hoist them in and drop them in place. So perhaps the mega chargers will be the same way, that whatever trucking depots they have contracts with, all right, hey, we need those 20 spots we got contracted for now, and 20 mega chargers drop right in place overnight. Wire them up, get your review in a week, and then you're running and gunning before the trucks even get to that area.
Well, I hope it's that simple, but you're talking about rolling them out in a lot of locations. So even if they can roll them out quickly, in that way, it still will take time to fully flesh them out.
Yes. But also, most of the initial deployment of semi trucks is going to be owned by Tesla. So if Pepsi was right when they said they would get their trucks by the end of the year, that gives them, what's that, 7 months, 8 months to get it done. And they just have to be on Pepsi's route.
They got 7 months to do it, so they got to start. I mean, they got to start soon, is what I would think. But
Pepsi uses theirs for local delivery, so they don't even need them for them. So I mean, you know how they like to pinch their pennies over at Tesla, so they might drop them out like the week before the truck hits the area.
Yeah, they didn't want to spend that money in Q1. We want to go ahead and put out the report of this amount of money. We'll spend that later.
Yes. All right, let's hide this. And so our friend at the Derek channel, Eric Strait, he has found a new interface in his Tesla owner's panel for previously owned cars. He said all his cars aren't in here yet, but if you go to your Tesla account, he's got a previously owned section, and it's got a bunch of his previously owned vehicles in here. And I checked mine, and it wasn't there yet, so they're probably just rolling
from
it out.
Cars that he used to own that he no longer has, or
yeah, you know that guy's bought like every car they've ever had.
Well, no, I'm just when I'm looking at previously owned, I'm wondering if it was, a car that was already previously owned that he purchased and now he owns, or if it was a car that he previously owned and he no longer has.
Cars that you previously owned on your account. Yeah.
Okay, so if it's a car that you previously owned that you no longer have, like what? Why would you need to see that on your account? I guess just to see what you've already done.
Taxes and service work, because once that changes accounts, Tesla won't share any service history with you. So like with my car, they accidentally let slip twice a previous repair that had been done, and then once during my initial changeover with my Model S, they actually printed some documents with the original owner's name on it instead of my name. And so
yeah, in the early days, they weren't very great with their record keeping in that aspect.
They still aren't good with paperwork,
because they did that to me too. And when I first got mine, I want to say within the first year or two, I took it in for something, I don't remember what it was, but then the paperwork that I got back had the previous owners info.
Yep. The Abstract Ocean's got jokes. They said you probably need infinite scroll for your history. They said the dudes had every car they made. I saw their single Model X there in the history that did transfer over. So that was let's call that 47.
That's interesting.
Yeah. All right, so we got another EV manufacturer automaker team up in form of Bridgestone and Lightspeed. I know Eddie doesn't believe Lightspeed's coming down because we haven't even seen demos of them. This is running.
I don't blame Eddie. He's a believe it when he sees it kind of guy.
No, and for good reason. Soak up all that investment money, and all at the end, it's oops.
Yeah, I didn't even write this in the list. But
like you said, it's for good reason. Like there's been many times where, we're going to come out with this, and they show you off this, and they show you all these future cars that we're going to come out with this in 5 years, and then it never happens. Right? So I get it. I've seen that many times. We've all seen it.
Yep. And our folks at Canoe has lost 2 executives in the last couple days after their SPAC. So, and we still haven't seen any signs that they're ready to come to market. So, I mean, I like the Canoe. I like the Arrival, and so hopefully they both make it. But I mean, Eddie's got a good point with a lot of these companies that just vaporize before the car hits the streets. But
I mean, I hope to see. I'm very optimistic. I just hope to see, the more the merrier, right? So
exactly.
Competition is always best for consumers. So as a consumer, I'm very hopeful.
I think it's going to come in the way of legacy. I just like Rivian. I just knew Rivian came out after Tesla.
They came out before Tesla.
Yeah, that's what got me. And I'm like, I'm sitting around checking out this Rivian truck. I wasn't planning on buying it, but I'm checking out. I'm like, okay, this is definitely the future. And that was like in 2018.
Yeah.
And I ain't seen one on the street yet.
They're coming. I got some news on that later.
So there are Rivians in use currently.
Yeah, but those are all owned by the company.
But those are
Industrial use.
limited. Those are limited use.
Yeah.
I think who was it? Amazon.
I mean,
Amazon has a couple.
Industrial use.
So yeah,
Right.
so they have some, right?
Yeah. So this one here, Bridgestone is partnering with Lightyear. So even if Lightyear doesn't make it to market, Bridgestone's already out. They're already making tires, and they can use this knowledge that they learn to make better tires.
I was trying to think of why do I know Bridgestone? But yeah, it's the tires.
Yeah, they bought Firestone.
Yeah.
So the EVs, they produce a lot of torque, and they
now wasn't Bridgestone the one years ago that had a issue with their tires?
That was Firestone and Ford.
Oh, Firestone, that's right. Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
And Ford, because Ford had put they wanted a really soft ride for the Explorer, so they spec'd a inflation rate that was lower than recommended by Bridgestone, and then they shifted blame as the rollover started to come in. But so EVs are torquey and they're heavy, and a lot of them are quick, or not just quick but fast. So you need to be able to build a tire that can put up with all this. But as well as all of that, the EVs don't have a lot of fuel capacity on board, so they or energy capacity, I should say. So you want to reduce your rolling resistance while increasing grip, which is kind of hard to do because you want less friction, but you want more friction. And so this Goodyear has a one of these, and Michelin does as well. So putting all these guys together means that there's a chance that the consumer wins. That's what I'm looking forward to. Tires be expensive.
Yeah, that's always been a tough one, and that's always been one of the complaints that I see from a lot of Tesla owners is about how quickly they go through the tires. And my first set of tires on my Tesla, I went through like real quick, and because it's a high performance vehicle and it's very heavy, and I didn't realize just how much torture I was putting my tires through. Taking off like a bullet at every stop sign and stoplight, and
Yes.
So I got a little bit more conservative with my with that, with that right pedal.
My first rotation the other day.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's the other thing. If you rotate them on a regular basis and you make sure you keep up with your rotation, that helps with the lifespan of your tires as well.
Yeah, if you can rotate, do. My Model X, I can't, so I don't. My Model S,
staggered.
My Model S, despite being an all-wheel drive car, chewed through rear tires like crazy. So I would just buy new rear tires and roll those to the front. Yeah, and roll them back.
Funny thing is, I had, of course, the EPA says that my range is supposed to be, average to 260.
Yeah.
Okay, but for the last couple of months, I've been maxing out at 200. And I was like, what's going on here? I mean, is it a module problem? So I finally took it in Chevy when I, went to get my tires rotated.
Right.
And he kept it overnight. Then the guy said the computer, because I didn't know the computer can check all your usage.
Yeah.
He said the computer says you had been, you had your air conditioner on for 70% of the time. And I'm like, but how? I mean, but he says as long as you press the button for air conditioner, if it's not even running, the compressor is going.
Oh, that sounds like they have an opportunity to optimize that on your Bolt there.
Yeah, so he said that's why once the thing started averaging out, your range is taking in what the compressor is doing as well.
Yeah.
And as soon I cut the button off, and I'm back up to 250, 260, 270. And I'm like, damn. Look like to me they should have worked.
I'm actually surprised that your air conditioning actually uses up that much energy to decrease your range that much.
That's what I was saying when he first told me about it, because the Bolt had a much more efficient air conditioning system, or the Volt, sorry. But when they went to the Bolt, maybe the fact that they had more than 40 miles to play with got them a little lazy or penny pinching or less.
That's what I think it is.
Yeah, so they went with a less efficient unit or heavier unit, and it because on the Volt, man, that thing used almost no electricity. I could run it for hours with the air conditioner.
I'm used to the fact that when with hybrids, I kept the air conditioner, I put it on 70, and of course, when it gets cold, the heat comes on, and you don't even worry about all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But in this case, it makes a difference.
Yep.
So yesterday, I just ran the fan.
Right. Especially when it's mild weather. Yeah, so Anders had confirmed that the washer fluid is indeed what that is for. A couple of folks have already explained that on their channels, which is cool. So I've got another little bit of news for us today. The Tesla Model Y has gone up in price again. Not just the Model Y though, also the Model 3. Yes, again. So as we keep saying on the Tesla Live show, if you see a configuration you want, it does everything you want, it's a price you can afford, has everything you want in it, just buy it. Because yes, there's going to be changes later. They may raise the price. They may lower the price. They may take some features you want out of the car. They may add some features that you like, which is unfortunate, but it's a moving target. So if you see one that is good enough for you today, just buy it. And
well, see, that's the thing about Tesla. They don't.
Huh. Where'd they go? This has been an interesting stream so far. So while I wait for them to come back, the Standard Range Plus went up $500 to $38.90. The Model 3 Long Range went up $500 to. Sorry. The Standard Range Plus and Long Range All-Wheel Drive went up $500. The Model 3 Performance didn't change. Model Y Performance went up $500, and the Model 3 and the Model Y Performance had no change. I don't know what's up with our stream today.
Sorry about that.
It's all right.
I kind of nuked myself.
Oh, you nuked yourself. Okay.
That was me. My fault.
Okay.
But yeah, but that's what I was saying. The thing about Tesla, because they don't do model years, they make changes all the time throughout the year. So, and Eddie disappeared too. So yeah, you were all alone there.
I turned around like, where'd they go?
We both disappeared on
Yeah. So basically,
in my computer. I didn't realize.
Oh, they were on sharing. Gotcha. So the Model 3 Standard Range Plus and the Model 3 Long Range went up $500, and the Model Y Long Range went up $500. And what we were talking about before you dropped, we were talking about get the one you want when you see it.
Right, because again, because they don't do model years, and they're subject to change at any time, and they're so random when they make these changes. And they don't wait for model years. They make changes immediately on the line or whenever. So, like you were saying, they may sometimes, get rid of a feature or change stuff. Like, for example, my car, I have an old school Model S. I have a sunroof. They don't do sunroofs anymore. So they completely got rid of that. So, I like having a sunroof.
I enjoyed mine.
Especially during mild weather like this time of year.
Yes.
I get to use it a lot. Like in the summer when it's really hot, I never use it, and in the winter I never use it. But this time of year, and in the fall, I like to use it.
Gives a little workout. Then you've got cases where they change the style, and some people don't like the new style. Like some folks like the chrome, and then the chrome was gone. Some folks like the.
I like the nose cone with my old school S.
And then other folks don't like the new door trim on the 3 and the Y. And so if you waited for something to happen, and then now you got this thing you can't get rid of because they don't make the old part. Yeah. And let's see, anything else changed? So basically, it's like you see these all the time, all these ads for the classic cars with they got the hood money, they got the dealership money, you got all these specials. Tesla doesn't do that because everybody worldwide pays the same price, adjusted for local situations like taxes or whatever.
But they don't have the dealership model. That's why there's no middleman.
Right. So they can't throw some hood money up there because there's nobody to help them hide it. And their deal isn't that they want to milk you. They want to make 25% per car where possible. But a lot of their cars aren't at that 25% mark, but they're all profitable. So if they get a way to reduce their cost by 25%, then you'll see the cars drop by quarter the next couple days after they get it done, because that's just how they operate, which I respect.
However, they do claim that that full self-driving is always going to go up in price and not down. So,
and sometimes it goes down, which is annoying. Because
I think at this point they finally figured out and stabilized that, because they had different packages with the full self-driving. It was like, oh, it will include this and not that, and then it was enhanced autopilot versus regular autopilot. Then became the full self-driving package versus autopilot. They were all over the place when they were trying to figure out what they wanted to do. I guess they finally figured out that, okay, we want to include regular autopilot with every car because of the safety features behind it, and we just want the safety to be out there. But then the full self-driving will parse that out and make that a separate thing.
And that was kind of why the reason I said that is after I bought mine, the price went down for over a year. At this point, it's only been going up, so they weren't entirely wrong. They just weren't accurate. So this I wanted to show you guys is the Messerschmitt 3-wheel EV. Yeah.
There you go. You don't have to wait for the Aptera. There you go.
I doubt
your 3-wheel car.
I doubt it's as efficient as an Aptera.
Yeah, probably not. But
and part of my whole thing is safety standards. I like to be in a big old cocoon, so I don't do old cars. Yeah. How it started.
How it started, how it's going.
That's small.
1964. Wow.
Yeah. It was originally a fossil car. Because they did have EVs back in the 60s. Just, this wasn't one of them. Skip ahead a little bit. Oh, there it is.
Wow,
a yoke. Or is it the new one has a yoke? I think it's the new one. That is small.
I don't know. Yeah, that looks original.
And now today.
Oh, wow. We're bringing it back. EV style.
Yes. I'm glad it's Delta and not Tadpole. Or glad it's Tadpole and not Delta, because then you can do stuff like put it on the track without tipping it over.
Right.
Yep. And speaking of other weird cars, let's take a look at this one. How would you like this for $33,100?
Wait, for $3,100? Sold. I'll take it.
It's an electric pickup thing. So we were just talking about El Caminos, and here we go.
There you go. There's your El Camino.
Yeah.
What kind of bed does that thing have in it? Like, that looks really small, but
let's see if they say. You can get it at Alibaba, so they'll just ship it in a crate right to your house.
It's great.
It's 3.06 meters long. It's got 10-inch wheels. Why are you mixing the measurements like that? 2.2 kilowatt motor, but you can upgrade to 3 kilowatt motor if you feel the need to compensate for anything. Oh, man. Oh, okay. So you can get it with a tonneau cover.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of range are you getting out of that thing?
I haven't seen anything say range yet. The vehicle rolls over without a worry. Yeah, that's not what I'm worried about. And then this guy's washing it. I mean, this could be a good little car.
That's weird. That video's not playing through the... Like, we can't see it.
Oh, it's not? Wow, it is. No. It is protected. You can see the thing. Interesting. So what I'll do here is I'm going to do a Control F and search range. Oh, it doesn't say range. Let's say kilometers.
Does it say speed?
Up to 45 kilometers an hour. So it's more like a neighborhood vehicle. So that's 28 miles an hour. And let's see if they say miles. Nope. So I don't see a range. But I mean, if you put it on campus somewhere, it'd be nice to have a little pickup truck for like a groundskeeper or something.
Yeah.
Not bad.
I could see some use cases for it. But...
Yep. Starlink is getting ready to power some high-speed web access for schools in Australia.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
well, the thing about Starlink is you get coverage where in places where it would be super difficult to get coverage at before, for them to add the infrastructure. So that's great.
Yeah. My computer rebooted on me.
Wow.
It's still going through the machinations, so
that's all right.
Some of those Windows updates are a beast.
Yeah, they can be. They can be. So let's see. This is going to be a $100,000 grant towards the build out of a world-class communication system for NetVault. All right. 50 kilometers to their closest capital city.
Oh, okay. So they're really in rural areas.
Yeah.
That's great, though.
Yeah.
Finally get broadband everywhere. That's awesome.
Exactly. Eddie can tell us how important internet is for school these days.
Well, what can I say? Tomorrow I go back in the classroom for the first time since March 13th.
Wow. Over a year.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
It is.
I mean, I've been doing the Zoom thing at home, but I finally go back in tomorrow.
Welcome back. Good luck.
Yeah.
All right, so then Tesserati's got a piece saying that the Model 3 has taken the top spot in Germany for EV sales in March. That's a record month.
I'm not shocked.
No, not shocked at all. So they got it by 100 cars. 36
versus the VW.
Yeah, okay. Versus the VW. The VW came in at 35,999, and then it was all downhill from there. The Hyundai Kona, VW Golf, VW ID3.
I'm surprised by the Kona.
Yeah. I mean, it's affordable, and it's a nice car. The Passat GTE plug-in hybrid, that shouldn't even be on the list. Smart for 2 EV, the Renault Zoe, Mini Cooper EV.
They still selling the Zoe? Okay.
Yeah, they updated it recently, didn't they?
Oh,
did they update it? Because I know it was on par with the first gen Leaf. It was basically their version of the Leaf. And then
the Zoe is pretty popular all through Europe, though.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Yep.
They wanted.
But I didn't know if they updated it like the second gen Leaf. I guess they probably updated the Zoe as well. Okay. Then that makes sense.
They wanted their version of the Bolt, the Ampera E, but Opel started tripping some kind of way. And...
Oh, yes. So number 10 is also a plug-in hybrid, the Mercedes GLC. So let's see, take out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so the next...
There's a bunch of plug-in hybrids on that list.
Right, so the BMW 330e would be the next legitimate plug-in
all electric. Yeah.
Yep. And then the BMW
now the i3, does that include the Rex, or is that just the BEV?
It does not, because in Europe they killed the Rex way early.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, they did?
Oh yeah, way early.
Hmm.
Yeah.
No, that's good. It's better as a BEV.
It makes sense. I mean, because all these places are going fossil free, so why not?
Yeah, a lot of places in Europe are adding restrictions now to vehicles, like you can't drive a fossil vehicle in certain places.
I mean, I can understand that part, but it's just that the range on the i3 was kind of low.
It wasn't too bad.
It was,
100
but
miles?
it was like 100 miles, yeah. But
Yeah.
And then you got another 100 with gas.
But you have to also keep in mind, Europe is not as large and spread out as America is either. So,
okay.
Yeah, most of their road
if you
trips
just depending on what your
than
needs are, if you just need to drive locally, it's not bad.
All right.
This guy on Twitch is trying to sell followers. I don't know how to moderate that from here.
Why didn't they sell the Zoe here?
It's Peugeot, isn't it? Or Renault. Renault right now. Yeah.
Well,
there's no Renaults here.
They had that partnership with Nissan at the time. They could have worked that.
That's why.
Well, they had a partnership with Nissan, so they sold the Nissans here instead. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. So
I mean, Nissan is already established here, and they have a larger footprint.
So the Boring Company has removed the Baltimore to DC tunnel from their list.
Oh, really?
Really?
I wonder what happened there.
They stopped pursuing the paperwork, but it doesn't mean they've quit because the governments are waiting on the next sets of paperwork. But at this point, I think they're probably going to wait and see what happens with Las Vegas and how it plays out, which it opens in June to the public. So
but that's disappointing because I was looking forward to that.
Oh, me too.
I was just looking forward to having a little less traffic. Even if I'm not taking it,
right? Having other people out of your way.
There's still other people that will be taking it, which just kind of helps traffic overall a little bit.
Right. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. Let's see. Tesla requested and gets approval from the FCC for millimeter wave sensor. Let's take a look at that. It's loading.
Now, mind you, with the Baltimore to DC, I don't. It's not like I drive that stretch very often because I live in Jersey, so But I do drive down south. Multiple times a year.
Us West Coasters think you guys make those trips all the time.
It seems that way sometimes.
It can feel that way sometimes, but no. I mean, I do drive down south multiple times a year, but not like every month.
Right. So what this technology does is it allows them to it's like basically radar inside the car. They can look inside each seat and see if it's actually occupied or not. So the timing of this approval is quite helpful to Tesla after what we talked about at the top of the show with the Texas incident. So they could tell if the seats are empty or not. But the reason they picked this, some smart person was like, "Oh yeah, why don't you just use a camera? Oh wait, you already have a camera." Well, you see, the problem with the camera is the camera can't see through blankets. And remember that part of the reason we have cabin overheat protection is to protect children from car death. So being able to see through their blankets, if you've left them and they're quiet, it can sense breathing, it can sense the heartbeat, and it can sense that there's something harder than the blanket in the seat, so flesh. And everything we need to help minimize, because the whole thing is safety first before fuel economy, before everything else. So I think it's the right move. Plus, you can tell that the driver's seat isn't empty.
Right. Well, that was one of the criticisms about that whole Tesla thing with that accident, is because there's certain other automakers that are using the camera to see if the driver is, paying attention or looking or whatever.
Oh, this gotta change. It's radar, so it can likely see a pumping human heart. So unless there's a pumping human heart in the driver's seat, the vehicle won't drive. No brick on the gas pedal can cheat that. Unless Consumer Report tie up a monkey or pig in the driver's seat. True. More important than fooling autopilot or not, I think it's for the children, and this is a move in the right direction because like on some of the other domestic automakers, you got if you open the back door before you get in the driver's seat, and then you get out the car will remind you, hey, did you check the back seat? And that sort of thing is nice to have because I think that was one of those times that Elon cried in public. One of them was during the interview about the Australian electricity being too high, and then I think another one was when at that shareholder briefing when they were asking about the children ending up in the car, and he choked up a little bit and said that won't happen in one of my cars. And I'm paraphrasing here because it's been a couple of years. He said that won't happen in one of my cars, and then within 3 days to 7 days, we had an update that had cabin overheat protection. The car holds 105 and lower for 12 hours or until the battery drops. So it helps.
It does, and it does work. I've seen where my car was cooler than I expected it to be on a hot day before.
Yes. So our friends at Starlink were fighting off some lies from their competitor, allegedly. OneWeb, they filed misleading information with the FCC about a near miss, and they wrote an apology about it because SpaceX said there was never a close call. OneWeb is using a bad model for their satellite positions, and so NORAD issued a warning to SpaceX, hey, there might be a near miss. You want to do something about it? And SpaceX said, nah, we good. Because, every maneuver costs fuel. And so if you don't need to move,
then don't.
Waste the fuel.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And so they got an apology from these folks. So that was inaccurate information provided to the media is what they said. So this is operator communication. So that was, I think OneWeb is just mad that Bezos is on their tail and that SpaceX beat them to the punch at what they were trying to do with the internet constellation. Because they were the same ones who made SpaceX fly lower than they already had planned with Starlink, and also tried to box them out of the bands they'd already been approved for. So this company fights dirty, and anytime they say something, you should probably take it with a grain of salt because they've proven repeatedly they can't be trusted at face value.
I heard there was a near miss, though. I heard that there was an object that was like 26 within 26 miles or so of Dragon.
Yes, the Endeavour on the space station. So they suited up for that as well. They were able to do it in 8 or 10 minutes. They were able to suit up on Dragon and get onto Dragon in their suits. So if they needed to do an abort, they could do it. And yet again, another reason.
Now that was a real near miss there.
That was a real near miss. The astronauts were just getting down for bed, and then sleep time, and I don't know if you can call it bed. They're in their bunks. They were getting ready for sleep time, and they were told to muster, get on up, let's go. And they got done in 8 minutes, and I that goes to their training, and I imagine a little bit of adrenaline there. You're dozing off, and they're like, let's go.
You're like, whoa.
come on. I'd be like, ground control, absolutely. Let's go. Speaking of SpaceX, the U.S. military wants SpaceX to make a miniature battery-powered Starlink dish. And there's going to be some money involved, so that'll be fun to see.
So they'll get right on that.
Absolutely. A couple of folks who were in military comms, they explained that the stuff is already light enough that people can move it, but the crates are quite large in bulkiness, and that sometimes the existing equipment will track the sun, which isn't what you want. You want it to track the satellite it's supposed to be pointed at, and
right.
So, yeah. So they pointed out that that Musk has already stated that a miniature mobile Starlink antenna sounds like a good idea. And there have been no signs of work on such a device. The reason that this is interesting is it's already as small as it can be with the current technology. So would they sacrifice a little bit of signal quality, or will they be inventing some new chips to make this work even better? Because it's physics right now that put it where it is. Because the whole reason the dish is flat is it's electronically steered the beams rather than pointing the dish, which they can also point the dish. And they don't really need to get any smaller for putting them on the ships. So that'll be interesting to see what they come up with for. Because as fast as those things are and as low latency, you can have real time communications with the whole squad, with your radio guy, and it'd be a lot less weight on that person. Yes, that is unfortunate what the Australian government has been doing about their the I don't think that was actually the Australian government, Anders. It was a honest government ad. They
wait, what are they doing?
Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, this one, honest government ad for electric vehicles. I'll put a link in the chat. Watch it after the show. So the real name of this thing is called FFS, and so she turns it into a comedy and says every time she announces how stupid this policy is, she says FFS. And because she's using it the way that we might use it,
right?
And so I liked it, and I do recommend, just like Anders did, that you watch this thing, because Australia and who was the other group that it was Victoria State government and the Australian government, they are making some really hostile anti-EV moves while greenwashing it and saying that they're doing some good stuff for EVs. They're adding taxes. They're making it harder to charge. They're making it harder to even buy the things. And they're chasing off manufacturers. So it's the wrong moves.
You all right over there, Eddie?
He's echoing. All right, so yeah, that one is a good one. Let me copy this link and paste it into what I'm going to put in the notes for the show as well. That one is here.
Yeah, I was getting off the phone and going to the computer after it rebooted.
Gotcha. Yep. It was the transition period.
It was the transition period, and a little bit echo. There we go.
A little echo, a little feedback.
That was an honest government ad. So the Seaside Police Department has replaced their Crown Vics with Model 3s.
That's awesome.
I think so. Let's get a little picture here. So they're upgrading their Crown Vics to Teslas. Model Ys, Model 3s.
Model Ys to me makes sense. Model 3s are a little small
for, you guys got all those belts and stuff you got to wear. Those are pretty cars. I wonder if they're gonna stealth them or if they're gonna tool them up. Yeah, there's a Model 3. Or she's really short. Or the other.
I would put. Well, we'll see what they do. I don't know.
Yeah, they probably go with the interior.
I would put the light bar inside.
Yeah.
Along the top and everything, and keep all the lights and everything inside, just to keep the aerodynamics.
Exactly, and it's good for lower maintenance, lower fuel costs. I mean, it's saving the taxpayers money. It's healthier
in the long run. Absolutely.
Exactly. We're not breathing in all those fumes. The officers aren't breathing in all those fumes. It's less stress on their bodies because you don't have all that vibration with idle. It's the right move. Everything needs to be electric.
And police cars do a lot of idle time. And with the EV, it's just, I mean, EVs handle idle time like way better than gas cars.
They sure do. And it puts less stress on them for them to be idle, because a gas car actually has to work at an inoptimal, it's not very optimal zone for it to be in at idle with running the AC, with running all the electronics. They aren't built for that. In China, a Model 3 owner's sister died, or the other way around. He died. The sister was fighting for him, saying that that he knew how to drive and he wasn't reckless, and the Tesla brake failed, and the brakes killed her brother. Tesla ignored her for a while, and then they did what they always do. They brought the receipts. They had apparently intended to continue to ignore her, but the Chinese state government got in on it and started harassing them. There was a case of a bunch of owners getting pulled off the highway, being told their cars weren't safe, so they couldn't ride their Teslas on the highway. The police denied that this was happening, but when you looked at it,
well, I mean, it's China. I'm sure that happened.
Yes. So the police denied it, and then a couple of the government ministers were also pressuring Tesla to do the right thing, and so Tesla has a new PR division there. Not the existing China PR division, but this one is like literally interacting in this capacity for like accidents and stuff. And so then they released the receipts and the report that the lady was asking for, and it showed that the guy was in excess of the speed limit, and he was not on the brakes, and that he had used the brakes several times that session. Not enough to give brake fade, but to show that they did work, because her allegations were that her brother had a car with faulty brakes. And Tesla said, no, if you can drop 20, 30 kilometers an hour in this many seconds, then your brakes obviously work. And he was just driving spiritedly and died in the crash. So it's unfortunate he died, but I also really like that they have the receipts for these sorts of situations.
Well, that's the thing about having a car that's so advanced and so capable of like autonomous driving and things of that nature. When people do human error, people have a tendency not to want to place blame where it actually is, and they're going to try to blame the car. So it's good that that Tesla does have all that information where they can prove, hey, listen, it's not the car. It's unfortunate, but accidents happen every day on all different types of cars. And what's crazy is it doesn't make the news when it happens in a in a BMW or a Nissan or whatever.
Right. It seems to be particularly anti-EV, because even with the Volt, no Volt owned by a customer caught on fire because of the crashes. Like literally, it was the crash test done improperly, and all you heard for months was, "Oh, Volts catch fire, Volts catch fire." No, they don't. The only Volt I know of,
up to me. They're still coming up to me. Don't those catch fire?
Yeah, I mean, the only Volt that I know that caught fire, it was a friend of mine. She's since passed of cancer. Her Volt got rear-ended by a Jeep that was on fire, and then the Jeep stayed in contact with her vehicle. Then the fire spread from the Jeep to the Volt, but it wasn't the battery that.
Yeah, but that wasn't really the Volt itself catching fire. That was
right. The Volt was held. Yeah, the Jeep held the Volt into a bonfire, and then it became a barbecue. Everybody was all right in the crash. That's the only reason I'm able to make light of it, and she probably would have enjoyed the humor. So in fact, when I helped them move the license plate over to their new Volt, I was like, "What happened to your license plate? Why is it crispy?" And that's when she told me the story. Because all she told me was that the car was in a crash, and that's why they were getting a new one. And then I saw this, and I was like.
And the license plate was all crispy.
It was super crispy.
I'm surprised she just didn't get new plates.
Volt with a V. South Carolina doesn't like that you give new plates if they're still legible. But it didn't have a reflective coating anymore, so I think that should have counted. So this one's for Eddie. Rivian adds a 7-day, 1,000-mile return policy. What does that sound like, Omar?
That sounds very familiar.
Very familiar. So for those that are new to the game here, Tesla used to offer a 7-day, 1,000-mile return policy, no questions asked, and they have since removed that policy. I don't know if it's because they didn't need it or it's being abused or what, but it did its job. It added confidence to folks that were wanting a Model 3 or a Model S, and it also helped in some of the cases where they were still ramping up the quality on the Model 3 because, as Elon spoke about with Sandy Monroe, they during the ramp, their quality was left a little something to be desired, and they worked it out, which was nice. But
most
now
of the
there's no
issues were
longer
fit and finish, but yeah,
exactly.
they definitely had some quality control issues.
Yeah, and that's no longer an option, and their fit and finish quality have improved on the Teslas, as several reverse engineers and other professionals have told us that, hey, this is better. So now they just need to keep it steady enough that people can get off of that narrative of, oh, these things are terrible, because a bunch of people
they had to
out,
refine their process
right,
for
but
their
it hasn't
manufacturing
been
process.
right, but it hasn't been that bad in months, and so it's going to take some time for them to grow out of it. But a couple of folks have done since then. They've done comparisons between other auto manufacturers, and they're right in the middle of the pack. So it's not that they're particularly bad. And Monroe pointed out that some high end cars are worse than what's coming off the line now from Tesla, particularly the Chinese Model 3. That one gets great marks. So I've got another cool one for you guys. This is one that Omar and I enjoyed. Let me see if I can't get a link here. Paste that in there.
Do they plan to sell BYDs here?
They do sell
cars.
BYD buses.
I mean cars. I've seen the buses.
They got to get them past the crash test first.
Oh, okay. I did check out a BYD dealership downtown LA years ago.
Yeah.
Well, and I was like, they have different standards here than over in China. So
yeah, I checked out the cars and I'm like, oh, when are they going to be out on the street? And haven't seen one yet.
Yeah.
Except for the buses.
Right. So this is a video by Asian Petrolhead of the Ioniq 5. Hyundai loaned him a vehicle to try out. Notice that camera mirror on the door? One of the items that he showed off in the beginning clips was the power off-put adapter. And I'm really excited to see this car. And I haven't yet had the opportunity to watch this video. So
that's interesting where the placement of the screens for the side mirrors.
Yeah,
most side cameras.
Right. Most people have them more forward, but these guys have them pretty much like you would actually look out of the window. I think, was it Audi or Jaguar puts theirs there as well. But Honda...
It's kind of in the same place where you would look anyway.
Right. But like Honda and the others, they put them on the edge of the door and the dash. So like more where the mouse is
a little more forward.
Yeah, like in these corner areas here.
Now, US going to allow those?
Not yet.
Not yet. They're working on it. Multiple manufacturers are working on trying to get legislation passed to allow it.
Everybody's working them, and now they have like case studies. You can prove in Europe that it hasn't increased the rate of crashes or anything like that. Oh wait, this is a perfect screen grab. Right here is where the Honda and the others have theirs, in line with all the other screens, just pushed to the edge of the car. But that looks more natural to me than putting them on the edge of the car. And those cameras, not only are they beautiful because they don't get in the way of the car as much as it's big sails, they also really help out your fuel efficiency because on the Model X, for instance, my mirrors have as much drag as an entire F-150 body without the mirrors. So, oh yeah,
side mirrors cause a lot of drag. That's why manufacturers have been trying to get rid of them for years.
That's why the Mustang.
It's like having little mini parachutes just sticking out on the side there, just slowing you down the whole way.
All the time, anytime you're moving. That's why all the Teslas and the Mustang have no door handles, because the door handles too add drag. But you can
anything that's sticking out is going to have drag.
Exactly. And so that was pretty cool to me. Because earlier Omar and I talked about the Ioniq 5. Between this and the Kia 6,
I like the Ioniq 5. I like that one.
I like it better because the aesthetic is more my style than the EVE 6. The EVE 6 is nice, but it's not the way I roll. Now, if you gave me one, I would still take it.
Of course.
If
it's free, it's for me.
Right? So our friends at FIA have created a new electric GT Racing series with 700 kilowatt charging. That's a lot of juice.
700 kilowatt charging?
Yes. The only way I think that they can possibly do this, aside from being right next to the power plant, is if they pre-charge a bunch of batteries while the cars are racing, and then they just
zap them in. Yeah, but still, that's a ridiculous amount of juice to pump in at one time.
Right.
And are there battery packs using like the 800 volt architecture? Like, how are they? I don't even know how they're getting away with that. Like, how they even?
Yeah, because I mean, the megawatt chargers are going to use. They're definitely going to be battery buffered because you can have serious demand charges on those. But at least with them, they don't move in a series. They're there's going to be a truck stop here and here and here, and they'll already be wired for it. And you'll probably have high voltage lines already going past anyway. But the way that these racing series move about, it would make sense to make them portable. So that'll be interesting to see how they do that.
That's going to be very interesting.
Oh yes, I might have a picture here. I do. Aha. Oh yeah, it looks like it might be a battery back system. No, maybe not.
I don't know, but 700 kilowatt, that's a lot of juice.
Yeah. The minimum weight will be 1490 to 1530 kilograms. Interesting. Dynamic vehicle control, so there are going to be 4 motors, or at least 4-wheel drive. The cells are designed to 700 kilowatt peak regen and 700 kilowatt fast charging. Yeah, the regen I can get, because I can throw down 80 kilowatts before my car starts whining. 700.
Give it 700
of fast recharging to 60% of their battery. Yeah, you don't need a full battery to recharge. You just need enough to keep going. So
right,
it'll literally be like splashing a little gas in the current race cars, and they're pretty cars too.
That's some aggressive regen too, though. I mean, up to 700 kilowatt regen.
700, because my car can put out 650 kilowatts. So you see my car.
So imagine that being in reverse. Yeah, it's.
So my car is 6,000 pounds and does 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds, and that's how it can launch at. So imagine the reverse. That means you put 700.
So imagine going 60 to 0 in 3 seconds.
60 to 0 in under 3 seconds. Yeah. So it'd probably be 2.5 seconds from 60 to 0 for me.
You have an X, right?
I have the X, yeah.
Okay.
P100D, yeah. And then we've got our friends at Rivian again are popping up in the feed. They are doing their website has.
Well, actually, we're talking about a car that's a lot lighter than the X. We're probably talking around a 2-second range, 60 to 0.
Yes, it'll be quite fun to see. So the Rivian website has some new accessories and information. Wait, this is the information one. There's another one about accessories. So basically, they have a FAQ on their site about what it's like to purchase, what it's like to charge and get service. So service is going to be done with mobile service. So basically, they took all the good stuff from Tesla and are doing it. Let me see if I can't find the one that showed their accessories. There it is. Copy that. This is what I wanted to show you. There we go. So they have some accessories coming out that hit they call it leaked. They got the gear shuttle, home charger, recovery kit, and more. So let's see if they say what each part is. I
think a lot of people are going to like that camper thing.
Oh yes. There's their charger.
Okay.
This is.
Wait, what is that?
Like a bike rack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, bike rack. Roof rack.
Roof rack. Okay.
I wish we could have had you guys talk to a friend of mine who's a truck driver, and according to him, truck owners do not want electric. And I'm like, okay.
There's a lot of truck owners that want electric because they know how much they're going to be saving in fuel.
That's what I think. But he claims that it's not going to be
I think the
enough power.
Rivian, I think for traditional truck drivers that want that traditional truck look, I think the Rivian is going to actually do better than the Cybertruck, because the Rivian still has that very familiar look that they're used to and that utility that they're used to, as far as being able to put roof racks and stuff on them and the different type of accessories that they're used to putting for their, their different job sites and stuff that they use. They'll be still able to mount them the same way.
That E150, I think, is going to do pretty well.
Yep. So
if it ever comes,
if that ever comes to right.
So you got the Ford electric, you got the Chevy electric, you've got the GMC Hummer, and then everybody's making an electric pickup truck. So I don't see all of these people going after the pickup truck if it were not viable. Here you've got a nice little.
Well, the pickup truck is a huge market. Like that's the one
burns
thing.
A lot of fuel.
The best-selling car in America is an F-150.
See?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's a pickup truck. Pickup truck's the best-selling vehicle, so that's a huge market. That's why everybody's going after that market segment.
Yep. So here we've got a.
I like that. I like that right there.
Yeah, to make the gear tunnel easier to use. According to him, nobody wants it. Oh, this is cool, because as a venture vehicle, you would need something to help you get out of the sand a little easier. All right, recovery kit. I wonder if that's like got a winch in it too. And then the camper is one that we already knew about that everybody was looking forward to.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are looking forward to that.
I still like the Cyber camper better. Well, the Cyber Lander, obviously, but also this version that Tesla showed on theirs.
The Cyberlander, I think, I mean, that's really aggressive, but they have a lot of. I think that's going to be tough to pull off. They had a lot of issues to solve. And then the other thing is, man, that price.
Yes.
You're talking like 50 grand for that thing.
Oh, it is?
I mean, that's a whole nother Model Y or something.
Yeah.
That's a little that's a little high for my budget.
It is. It's at 59 for the base model. So our friends at Jaquar have done a little something to the I-Pace. Are you interested?
Let's see it.
So I got excited when I heard that they actually did something to the I-Pace until I found out it did not include anything to the powertrain. So this is
what did they do?
It's a body kit basically, $100,000 Jaguar I-Pace.
Just to make it look prettier.
It's a little prettier, yeah. I mean, I don't get what they were going for. I mean, I'm not gonna pay extra for paint and colors without you giving me some performance, range.
You got to give me something else
speed.
more than just the look.
I mean, I can't even tell it apart from a regular one. I mean, I've seen a few I-Paces. So, I mean...
Okay, that was pointless. I guess just for bragging rights, to say you got it and somebody else doesn't? I don't know.
What you need to do is lower the price. We've got friends who bought I-Paces and they were a year old, brand new on the lot, and they saved so much money because the dealership was tired of paying floor plan interest on it. So raising the price is clearly not what you need to do to get these things to move. Sorry.
Well, so I don't think they actually want to move them. They're trying to anti-sell them because
trying to get all their money back off of that one car.
Well, here's the thing: they can't mass produce them in high enough numbers to really want to move them in a high capacity because they don't have the batteries. They don't have enough batteries. That's just right. The bottom line. So until battery technology changes or there's a much larger supply of batteries and the price comes down to batteries, a lot of these manufacturers are going to be trying to sell their cars in low volume. So how do you sell it in low volume? You keep the price high.
That's right. So let's look at some people who have a battery factory underway. The new 2023 Cadillac LYRIQ.
I know a few people personally that are looking forward to this vehicle here.
And it's very well marketed and targeted. They know their customer.
Yes, they do.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty.
It is.
too many buttons and switches for me, but we've met her in a couple of events.
This is one they had to put a black person in the commercial, huh?
Well, she actually is on the team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they're targeting the black community with this vehicle. Not exclusively, but definitely they realize that there's money and they're going for it. I mean,
well, they know who their customer base is.
It looks a little bit like Black Panther to me, and I like it. And then they still have that four-way roof on top, where the roof is you can colorize your similar to the way that grill looked. You can do that to the roof panels as well. So that's exciting to me, and that's what we need. We need more EVs from more.
The more the merrier. Like I said, that competition is better for consumers. So the more options you have out there, the better.
Exactly. Because if you don't have enough, then people will just keep buying fossils, and that's the antithesis of our mission here.
My problem is when you have something that's not selling, that kind of makes them say, aha, it's not viable.
Right, and so that's why
that's what they were hoping to do,
and less of the iPace.
and that's what they tried to do with the EV1. They tried to put it out there, hoping that people would hate them and wouldn't want them, and it wouldn't sell. But then everybody loved them, and it backfired on
them. Figuratively.
Yeah, so they recalled them all back and crushed them all, got rid of them.
That'll do the trick. So our friends at Tesla have managed to take the top spot for the top selling EV sold in California was the Model Y. It has displaced the Model 3.
Well, I knew that was going to happen.
They told us it was going to happen.
Just
when they launched
that market segment. So the small car, the regular sedan market segment in America is not as popular as the crossover section. So you're talking about like a crossover SUV style. That style, that market segment is just a lot bigger.
That's right. I forgot to watch that video that you put out yesterday. That you put up.
Oh, with the Model Y versus the Model X?
Yeah, I wanted to check that out, and I totally forgot about it.
It was a solid video. So our friends over at Ford and Volvo managed to get themselves some top pick ratings. Let's take a look. They got good marks.
See, that's the thing about the EVs is that all that crumples on in the front. You can make your car so much safer.
Even more so if you put a frunk in it instead of pretending it's a fossil car and putting all your blocks up front.
Yep.
So that was the small overlap and moderate overlap. That small overlap is some scary stuff to watch. You always see the wheels explode.
The small overlap test is it's like one of the toughest tests that they could ever do on vehicles.
It's one of the newest ones too. I remember part of the reason I shied away from the Leaf, aside from my bad test drive, was when I saw the door pop open on the small overlap, because the test came out right after the car came out, and so they didn't build for it, and it didn't go so well.
I mean, it didn't do well in that test. Yeah.
Yeah, it was survivable, but it wasn't like every other car I looked at, like the Volt and the Teslas. So I walked on by.
Cars, I mean, do manufacturers donate or sell their cars to the institute like this?
That's a good
no,
question.
so
I know that.
Well,
I know for the government one, the government buys them for the government one, or they do it themselves.
The government one, I thought the car manufacturers had to do it themselves, but because they have to pass certain safety, they have to pass the test in order to be street legal to be sold in the U.S.
Yep. So this is the Volvo
I
model.
see that, and I'm like, damn, that's really a waste of a car. I mean, I know you got to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather waste the car than waste a life.
Yeah, but
wow, wow, that thing has some momentum. The wheel is gone and it's still going.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Look at the way that shattered.
I haven't seen anything like that on the small overlap, aside from the way the fender peeled was the way the door peeled off of the original model, the original Leaf. And then here's their side impact. So this is the 2021 Volvo XC40 recharge. Yeah, so these guys both got top pick. So that was good to see.
That battery really firms things up, huh?
It does. The battery,
it does.
The stiffness, everything. And then also, for the front collision, being able to stretch that collision out. I wonder if that's why that one went over so far, because Volvo doesn't do as much of a frunk as everybody else, but I do think they all have frunks. All right, so our friends at Cadillac have gone electric already, immediately. They are not making any new electric car, or any more new gas cars.
I like it.
I like it too. So the LYRIQ is where they're starting. It's their next electric car. They're all electric, and they're not making any new. I'm sure they're going to continue to manufacture and sell out of everything they've got, because this is GM we're talking about. But there won't be any new models you see hit the ground, or any refreshes that are gas. Way to go! Good work.
Yes, I'm all for it.
Yep.
I mean, it's the way to go. Eventually, that's going to happen in the future anyway. So I'm with it.
Exactly. And in France, plug-in electric car sales quadrupled for March of 2021. Good work, guys.
That costs fuel. I see why.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, Eddie, you're in a location where the gas prices are a lot higher than
Similar
they are where I am.
We're headed towards the European stuff.
Yeah.
Or Canadian.
So if you're in the market for a Ford Mustang Mach-E, run out today and get it, because tomorrow they're going to have a price increase. Let's take a look and see what we know about it.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they're going to raise the price. They're pulling a Tesla.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess after that great review they got from Sergio, they got demand.
Not just Sergio, but man, he took some heat for that. So
Ford must know Sergio.
They were on a $3,000.
They do now.
Price drop, up to $3,000 price drop in September of last year. However, they're being raised again. We expect it to happen on Monday, the 26th. They don't know how much they'll be increased by. That's coming from Mach-E Club. So
we'll find out.
If you're into a popular EV, not just Tesla, and it's configured the way you like, get it.
It's supply and demand. So,
whenever you have the money,
the demand is there, then they can they can do that, which is good, because that shows that the demand is there. So for those that say, oh, well, EVs, they're so niche and they're not going to catch on or whatever. No, the demand is definitely there.
Yep. Speaking of EV naysayers, our friends at Toyota have confirmed that they have a pickup truck in the works for the near future. I'll let Eddie talk about that one.
I just wonder, it's going to be one of those small trucks?
I mean, cool.
There's a market for that as well.
Yeah, that would be cool. But I thought you were going to say that you'll believe it when you see it.
Well, I do say that I do believe it more when legacy companies do it.
Oh, Eddie froze up on us. All right, so
he said he believes
he's talking bad about him. So
he's not froze.
He's unfroze.
No, he's not froze. I see him.
Oh, he froze again. So I've got a picture to show you. Oh, my connection was interrupted.
It's your connection. It's you, Casey.
Oh, it is
me and Eddie. We're good.
You're good. Okay, so my connection is back.
Yep, Eddie's good.
What does that look like?
Looks like a beetle.
I froze again, didn't I?
No, I don't see no problem.
Yeah, I like it.
Your upload speed is good. It's probably your download speed. I don't know what's going on with you, Casey. But anyway,
up and down fine.
So we got a new beetle. What's going on?
Oh, I'm stuttering.
I've been saying for the longest that the Beetle should have gone EV before they.
Oh, absolutely. So there was a company that did a conversion that converted a gas Beetle to EV. I forgot who they were a while ago, but it was like a one-off, you know.
Oh, EV West.
Oh, is that who it was? EV West? Okay.
I think they.
All right, I'm gonna try.
Them to specialize in it.
Let me see what you do here.
Okay, but I thought that was pretty awesome when they did that conversion when they made a EV Beetle.
There we go.
I thought a lot of people would like the EV Beetle.
Well, I think if they would have went EV a while ago, they'd still be selling Beetles.
It would have been popular. I think you're right. Looks like Casey's having technical difficulties.
Okay, turning my screen off didn't help.
So it's him this time. At least it's not me or you, Eddie.
I close this window. Well, Lordstown is withdrawn from their challenge for the score competition. We'll see what happens with that. But after their first prototype caught fire right away, I don't know. I froze again. Looks like my internet connection is not going so well.
Honda, say they're going to come out with an EV.
So Lordstown, yeah, like I'm with you on that one, Eddie. You got these new pop-up companies. We'll see which ones are successful.
But what get me when you get a legacy company, and then they come out with that hybrid nonsense.
Or they come out with a car that's nowhere near what they initially said they were going to roll out. Like they'll put something out as a concept car, and then when the actual car comes out, it's so far removed from what the concept was. It's like, that's not that. Why didn't you just put out that? It's like it ends up being a big disappointment.
You take Honda and Toyota, and they they decide to come out with that hydrogen stuff. I don't even know where a hydrogen station is. I don't even know where do hydrogen have their version of plug share?
I don't know. So what's crazy about that is, first of all, we got two Caseys.
Yeah.
but what's really crazy is, so like Honda was never interested in EVs to begin with. It seemed like they were just totally like against it, and so they thought, okay, we'll do anything else but that. So they put their focus on hydrogen. Toyota, it was weird. It was like Toyota was like ahead at first because they had the Prius. I mean, they were going hybrid with it. They already were like halfway there. They just had to go all the way. They just had to make the next step. But instead of making the next step, they were, we're going to go that way.
Yeah. And see, I can't understand that way of thinking.
Old school thinking.
Yeah. And I mean, like, what's funny is, so like Elon said that he had looked into hydrogen initially as well, but he kind of quickly ruled it out as the way to go, and realized that the battery electric was actually the way to go, because even the hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, they're still electric vehicles. It's just they're using the hydrogen to create the electricity to store in a much smaller battery that then drives the car. And it's just, there's so many inefficiencies built into that whole system that it doesn't really make sense. There's too many inefficiencies built in. Instead of just directly storing the electricity in a battery and then just driving.
The mere fact that you can plug up at home, and it's even better if you already had solar.
Well, the thing is, there's electricity everywhere, right? So at some point, you can plug in, even if you have to trickle charge. You can plug in anywhere, literally.
The only reason I can see hydrogen, if there was some kind of way you can use distilled water, and that won't be happening anytime soon.
Right, because that energy is more efficient in a battery. So, I mean, unless they can develop it cleanly, right now they're developing it from natural gas. So
so my thing is,
even if they develop it using electrolysis, using electricity, well, now that it takes more electricity to develop and create the hydrogen, then transport it, then put it into the vehicle, and then convert it back into electricity to the point where there's so many inefficiencies, it just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
You're better off just taking that same electricity and just dumping it into a battery.
Yeah.
And being done with it.
Yep. So speaking of Rivian, I know that wasn't a proper segue, but our friends at Rivian have had their vans spotted from Tulsa, Oklahoma to Seattle, Washington, all over the place.
What, a van?
The Rivian delivery vans, the Amazon vans?
Oh, delivery. Okay. I've probably seen one and didn't know it.
So they not only do they have the Amazon vans, Rivian has also been spotted at Blue Origin.
Yes, they had their R1Ts were over at the New Shepard launch. Is it New Shepard, New Glenn? Whichever one that does the straight up and straight back down.
Whichever one that went up and they landed it back down. It technically went to space because it went into suborbit level.
It went over the Kármán line, yeah.
But I mean that's good. Well, that's because of their partnership with Bezos.
Absolutely. I mean, a couple $1 billion will get you a couple development prototypes sometimes. All right, so we want to remind everybody that tomorrow, right here at 5:30 Eastern, we will be covering the Tesla shareholder briefing for Q1 earnings. And if you would like to become a channel member, down next to the subscribe button is a join button. If you click that, you can join the channel and get some unique perks. And there weren't any live questions that we haven't already answered, so the pre-selected questions, we'll hold them for next time, and we'll catch you on the flip